Corsair. You're looking to go against Warrior. I think Skywalker expected a lot of Warriors to be in the tournament here. There are two other Warriors, I think, against those matchup. You can really have some good moments against some like Wrench Caliber if they're also running like Weapons Project, even further advantage. But this is a different matchup still against the Mage, not bad.
Now, in the Specialist format, you have to start with your primary deck. And because Skywalker's Rogue deck is kind of tailored against Warriors, he's got a bunch of cards in there that are pretty dead. You know, things like the Bloodsail Corsair. You're not really going to get a lot of value out of that here. So we'll see how this works out because he's drawn both of his raiding parties in his opening hand, G-Club.
And Leroy, a lot of the mid-range and the finishing cards in his hand.
Kind of dead early on.
And for Arknights, already having a Frostrova, but Skywalker is not really going to consider putting anything down, anything early on right now.
Right.
So both kind of having some awkward situations.
That feel when your best play is coin prep raiding party. Definitely not what you want to do on turn one.
Yeah, certainly raiding party nerf has been taking into effect. Like rogues, I think we see a lot more rogue.
Well, and the prep nerf too.
Yeah, a lot less rogue means a lot less warriors, which indirectly means a lot more Cyclone Mage.
That's definitely true. We are seeing that deck so often. If you're not prepared for it, you can really run aground against the 8/8s that they can put out on the board. And I think specifically for right now, it's just very difficult to kind of predict what's happening. Because I think both players, it's safe to say, know exactly what they're dealing with in this matchup. So that also means that they probably know how to play it too.
Because we have a lot of matches going off at the same time. You don't really get to check out other players' deck if you haven't faced them yet. But you're basically, with that raiding party, you're basically expecting all the cards that Skywalker is having on his hand. As Arknights, as long as there's nothing put on the board, you're expecting some Dread Corsairs to come out along with that weapon sometimes.
Well,
sometimes good enough.
Huge turn because it not only is going to give you the Waggle Pick, but the Dread Corsairs. And, I mean, there's nothing that really a mage can do against this except freeze the board, but that doesn't give you any momentum. You really want to play this Banana Buffoon. You want to be thinking about, you know, maybe drawing more cards with Arcane Intellect, and you're going to be facing so much pressure on the other side.
Yeah, even just mirror Arcane Intellect can be good enough against two taunts. But Skywalker getting that big value from the Waggle Pick. 0 mana for 3/3, double that.
Feels
when you have both in your hands.
Good to me, yeah. 6/6 on the board for free. Good card.
Good card, only if you have some kind of weapon.
That's right. It's very conditional, but you can definitely make it seem a little bit stronger than it already is. I guess he's kind of roping it down for some reason. I don't think there's really any play to be made at that point.
Yeah, maybe just thinking about what Arknight actually has, because he just, I believe he just pinged, and Arcane Intellect, nothing else.
Yeah, not too many options here. There's a way in which you play Sorceress and then try to hold that on the board with like Mirror Entity, but not sure what the play is here. You could just Mirror Entity Banana Buffoon. That's one way to do it.
Yeah, I think you do need to make a few more spells, but also you can't be taking too much damage early on.
One way to think about this is you want to save Mirror Entity to make Sea Giant more playable, but I don't think you have the luxury of even thinking about that because it's a very high pressure board from Skywalker that could like kill you in 3 turns.
That's really thinking deep on this one.
Rope Stone, I love it. Okay, Sorcerer's Apprentice. Conjurer's Calling after Mirror Image. This is a gigantic board. We're going to be seeing a Sea Giant almost immediately.
Not bad though. Got a few more board pressure even after those taunts. We'll actually almost be close to be taking the entire Dread out with an extra set of ping. So Arknight, not bad, but he's still got to draw some more.
Yeah, I mean, it was a nice way to set up for what could have been a very strong Giant turn later on, but I think it's a little bit optimistic to go up against a Rogue player and not expect to have your board be able to be cleared very early on. So you're just going to see the backstabs coming through here and just attacking through. And, you know, I don't think this is, you know, a big hit to Arknight. Obviously, he's not going to get the super easy giant out, but he does have that Luna's Pocket Galaxy for a play on turn 5, which is really going to set the rest of his turns to be pretty good.
But the scary part from the Raiding Party Rogue is that the charges can hurt you a lot more, like with the extra setup combo. Of course, there are no sharks in the primary deck that that Skywalker has brought, but he actually has the shark with the lackeys on the tertiary deck. That's basically the rogue that we see a lot more often instead of the Raiding Party. But with the setup charges, you can set up a lot of more extra damage when you don't expect it to happen. He already has a Leroy, South Sea. That's another 8 damage.
Yeah, I mean, the damage is really going to start to mount up here. This is 12 damage on the board right now, and oh my goodness, it just keeps getting scarier and scarier. And if you replay the Waggle pick, then you can just replay the deckhand that it sucks back up into your hand. Or also the Corsair.
Yeah, that is the
if that had happened.
Yep. Because you can combo so much, even with SI, if you want to have certain target on it.
There's a world in which you save that for the Van Cleef coming up, but I think you just want to put out maximum damage and put Arknight on a 1-turn clock here.
Yeah, Van Cleef. Certainly, if you get maximum amount of combo, you can have one big giant board against the giant. It's okay. And Arknight's not really going to have a big setup for his own giant yet.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is basically the best case scenario. Because he Pocket Galaxied earlier on, he can go for the giant and conjure it right now. The only problem is that Sap is a card that exists, and there is one of them in the primary deck, so you are really betting on a very scary chance if you went for Conjuring there. So wisely enough, he does choose to go for that Frost Nova. But he's not going to have the giant stay on the board any longer.
Not even giving a chance to use that Conjurer's Calling. And at least taking one of them out. He knows that there are a lot more giants out there.
But this does set up for a nice Mana Cyclone turn coming up. But I think at this point, Arknight is so close to dying that every single one of his turns has just so much pressure.
Yeah, next turn Skywalker is going to set up for lethal. Even before that, he wants to set up some more damage.
Let's see what happens. Okay, Sorcerer's Apprentice, absolutely gigantic here. You're going to be able to get so many cards back from Cyclone. He's just going to be able to play Mirror Image, even Bananas for free if he wants to. And certainly that Sea Giant's coming down at some point.
The Banana, Frost Nova, Cyclone seems perfect.
He just has to sequence this correctly, because there's a way in which you mess it up and you don't get the right amount of free mana from Sea Giant. All right, so step 1, Frost Nova. You got to do that. You can just play that card right now. All right, step 2.
It's also, do you want the Sea Giant or the Banana Buffoon?
Observe and
I think that's what he's thinking. Because there's another Cyclone that you can use after.
Yeah, that's true.
May or may not come out.
I think you go Banana Buffoon on... Okay, all right, make up your mind. Frost Nova, it's a big turn. And I think it is the Banana Buffoon play, right? Or not, okay. Never mind, I stand corrected.
If we're getting that Cobalt to get the charge out.
I was so worried he was going to run out of time there at the very end of that rope turn, but I mean, this is basically it, right? This
Vaporize.
Is the big...
That's a great pickup.
Yeah, wow, that actually was going to work really well, especially, can you imagine that catching Leroy? Oh my god, that's the ultimate ice block, rest in peace.
I'm pretty sure Skywalker is going to check for that with not the Leroy.
Some men will just want to see the world burn. Like, I just want that epic play to happen.
You're a villain.
Guaranteed Reddit karma off of that.
But a great setup already. Has another Conjurer's Calling for Arknight. Can set up for another Sea Giant. Or extra Cyclone would also be okay with the setup bananas coming out from the Buffoon.
Well, just going to deal as much damage as possible here. And like you said, set up for that lethal next turn. There's no more ability to freeze. It's going to have to come off of these Conjurer's Callings. A Mountain Giant draw is perfect. And now let's find out how many Conjurers we can call.
Yeah, you do want to consume the bananas just to get the taunts out of the way and also trade and open up some space for yourself. See, on both Dreads, so he didn't even have to use a banana on the Cyclone.
I'm not sure about the sequencing that we're seeing here,
Yes.
but I mean, I'm sure there were enough possibilities for him to make good use of that here. And I guess the one issue is that by misplaying, or maybe not misplaying, but by playing that banana out of order, he loses the ability to trade another unit in to get another Conjurer's Calling off. The board will be quite full.
It's going to be just +1. Let's see if that makes any difference. Looking for a few more taunts. One more. And a perfect Vaporize setup. What are you going to do, Skywalker?
No, you have to say it like, what are you going to do, Skywalker?
No.
It's just so funny. I love it.
Only Eviscerate. Not a pretty turn for Skywalker. Certainly lethal from the other side.
Yeah, these games are not going to get, like, go the distance. We're not going to have a 30-minute slugfest here like we would if we had your Warrior decks here. This game is going to end in 1, maybe 2 turns, and we're going to try to make it end here.
Only one whelp because of the space. Just getting that Sea Giant out of the way. Never mind, just go for that taunt.
But, I mean, still, the game is going to end very, very quickly, momentarily. So clearing out the big threats, that's something you really need to be able to do versus Cyclone Mage. Unfortunately, when you can't do all of it... Oh, my goodness. He just placed that straight up. When you can't do that, the board, the game, it just goes so quickly against you. And now, I mean, we can see just by watching that Skywalker, Arknight, they're both very low, but one player has a gigantic board.
Miscreant.
How evil is this Miscreant? Is there any way that this can cause him to win the game? Let's see.
So, Lackey and maybe Ethereal can... Depending on the spell, I think that's some RNG and RNG on top of it.
For sure.
So you're looking for.
So step 1, you play Bloodsail Corsair to combo the evil Miscreant, and then we find out which lackeys do we get here. All right, coming through. Oh no! Witchy lackeys, one of the worst that you could get in this situation.
It is certainly not good enough. What can you get?
If you had gotten double Kobold Lackey, honestly...
Oh, Militia Commander.
Okay, wow, that's actually not that bad, but it's still, you know, not that good either. Excellent analysis on my part. I just want to shout out myself there.
One more.
I mean, you can kill off the other one.
No, but it's
still not enough.
Yeah, it's still not enough to freeze the board of Arknight. And actually, Rogue takes a big hit and goes down in one game.
Yep. You know, I also want to point out that if that had been even more volatile, a lot of times you just either throw a BGH in there or put something like Walk the Plank, I think is an excellent option. I think one of his decks actually had that.
Yeah, I think his secondary deck has Walk the Plank. Yeah, Skywalker's secondary deck.
So if he goes with that, Walk the Plank, obviously a pretty good option there. He sacrifices the Nomi, which can be a one way to deal with a big board with another big board.
You never even get to Nomi. You don't even get that far. So I think that's the real problem that Skywalker can have.
So let's see what we might be looking at. There is the Walk the Plank, so exactly like you said, he did switch to his secondary deck, Skywalker did. On the other side, let's see what Arknights might have done. He's got Stargazer Luna in all of his decks, so it's not like... oh, at least in his opening deck, so he might not have changed a single thing.
In all decks actually. So still not know exactly if
Right you are.
Arknight actually changed or not. But this is a good set of cards. Finally, he's gonna get some Ray of Frost, which we have not been seeing for a long time.
Yeah, that's a really good card to have with the Mana Cyclone because it cycles so well. It freezes the board. It takes pressure off of you. It's such a good card in this matchup.
When you have Apprentice, you're just using it for free all the time. So this is a really good hand from Arknight to have a big setup. You can also go for the Giant. The Skywalker just using the Corsair already because it's not gonna be Mage having a weapon anytime soon.
Goblin and Witchy are the lackeys, so gonna help out if he wants to put more pressure on the board, but nothing like a Kobold lackey. So no, just straight up direct damage off of that Miscreant.
Yeah, Goblin lackey. You're not really looking to rush too many units, unless there's a Giant coming down from the other board. I think it's good to save it. Maybe with the Witchy Lackey, you're looking for some higher value.
Right. But now look at this Mana Cyclone turn we're setting up for. He's going to Stargazer Luna just to get even more value here. But you already have a 3-mana Giant coming down next turn. This is just really going to be a huge move for Arknight.
Even just using the Mana Cyclone now, considering.
I mean, I guess, yeah, that's absolutely correct too, because he has the second elemental evocation as well.
Research. And if he wants to have some more draw, I don't think he's looking for that right now. Still has the coins for the second Cyclone.
Yeah, he couldn't even draw everything there. He's just got max hand size, and I think he's going to be sitting at this for the rest of the game. But wow, I mean, Arknights, what a fantastic position. But this can all change in a moment, so let's see what Skywalker wants to do. First step, clear out the taunts. Second step, you probably want to deal with that Stargazer Luna. But step 3 and 4, you have to be thinking towards the future of how am I going to deal with these upcoming giant turns.
You don't want to backstab onto both. You're good with the weapon damage.
Here comes Witchy Lackey for the evolve.
Not bad. Not bad. You want to push for extra damage. I think that's
I've got high standards, G-Club. Nothing but the best for me. Wow, I heard you liked Goblin Lackeys.
Double Goblins.
So I put Goblin Lackeys in your Goblin Lackeys.
Okay,
and
just getting one extra rush.
Haha!
So it is a big board, and Arknight does not have...
he does have one Frost Nova in his hand.
Oh, he does. And the Ray of Frost, too. I thought he only had the Ray of Frost for a moment.
Yeah, and he can even play both that and the Giant with the coin in his hand, too. So, I mean, obviously, you might want to save that for another Mana Cyclone, but let's not get greedy. Plenty of possibilities here. Doesn't have the Conjure yet, so that's the big sort of hesitation here. That's why Arknight just doesn't slam the Giant down immediately.
Well, Giant, you can just freeze the board.
Yep. A pretty solid option here. There's not really too many ways to take that out, but of course we know that there's a walk the plank in the hand, so obviously that helps out quite a bit.
Another Eviscerate. Arknights had to use the coin. That's a little too bad. But still, there are a lot more further spells for him to use for the extra Cyclone. If it comes out, I think he needs to really push out for the research project now to get those cards and then continue with the Cyclone. He still has Ziliax for extra, just buying extra turns, but just having Ziliax up there with 5 mana is actually pretty expensive.
One of the interesting texts I saw in one of the Grandmaster decks was putting a Doomsayer in a deck like this. And I think in situations like this, you can really see where that would help reset things. Sometimes it's a little bit slow, so that's why you don't see this as opposed to your old school Freeze Mage decks. But it is a nice little text sometimes. It certainly helps out against some of the really aggro decks that you have to deal with as one of these slower Mage decks. So step 1, you always want to draw, but not actually choosing
Banana
to.
and then just freezing a few. I think that's good enough.
Okay.
Because it's there are a lot of this 1 damage, 2 damage. It's getting that 4-4 and maybe the 2-2. Guys, it's not like the mech. It's not you're going against like a mech beast or something, a mech hunter that you can have direct upgrade to go directly into face with a lot more damage.
So if you're gonna draw, you usually choose to draw first. And so even though Arknights was hovering over that research project, it's probably not something that he's thinking about, because in general, giving your opponent 2 cards for free is probably not the option to go for. If he does play that here, then that'd be kind of questionable.
Yeah, the safe move will just be the Frost. And Arknight just has to wait for further cards.
Still going to be taking a little bit of damage here or there, but it's nothing that he's too worried about. And in the future, he is going to be setting up for a really nice giant turn because his opponent has so many minions on the board. So not too worried about that just yet. But hey, there's tons of great options for Skywalker here. You can raiding party to get yourself really set up for your next few turns, easily comboable with all of those lackeys, and it's not like he's going to have problems clearing off the board.
There are some creation mages going around right now, but I think it's way too slow for tournaments.
Yeah, that's more of the optimal scenario decks. Like if everything works perfectly, this deck is sick. Okay, well, you know, great. Good luck with that.
Yes.
Raiding party, actually proving that even with the nerf, it's actually still incredibly effective. And I think for Skywalker, props to him for still including two of for a nerfed card. It's working out pretty well.
I think with the Waggle pick, Skywalker might not be close to lethal, but pretty close to lethal by getting this extra charge.
Oh, did he?
He actually didn't get it in time.
Heartbreaking there, Skywalker. I mean, this is a big moment. If he loses this board and still doesn't get that 2 damage, oh man, it would suck so much.
The reason why he put down the South Sea is because he wanted to push for extra damage for the next setup.
Exactly.
Next turn lethal. But now Ziliax.
This is kind of like the opposite version of...
You can't put the bananas on.
I love Banana Mage. It's my favorite.
Yes, Banana Mage.
Banana is, of course, the greatest fruit. There's a reason monkeys don't pick strawberries. Clearly inferior.
Is Arknight really wanting to save up extra bananas for the maximum amount of value from the next Cyclone? Because he knows that that's going to be his killing move, the finishing blow against Skywalker, just getting all the field removals. Look, just having better chance for a lot more Frost, maybe Blizzard. The Blizzard actually does come out from time to time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad card for sure, and it's not one that's maybe good enough to include in your deck, but certainly one that you hope to get at some point, because almost always you've sacrificed so many turns of setup, you have to come back in some way.
So with the Waggle Pig, setting up for next turn lethal now. I was also thinking, because if he actually got the charge from the last turn, also got Shadow Step for a few more damage. And with the extra set of Life Drinker, I think that was going to be 8 instead of 13 if he really pushed for extra damage.
Right, but I think it's better to set up in this situation because his board is so wide that unless there is something like a Blizzard just to clear this off. Okay, there's the Giant. So he's got to get a bunch of random stuff on the board. How do you do it? One way to do it is to research project and hope to get a Conjure to get...
the second one?
Yeah, the... Was it Grave Keeper? Grave Ghoul? I don't remember exactly what you summon off of the Giants. But any way to get Taunt out on the board, what's it going to be? I mean, Mossy Horror would kill everything, that's for sure.
Yeah, Mossy's a big pickup here, actually. But the thing is...
Yeah, but you might get a random card from Toki.
Yep, you don't get the Battle Cry, so you go for the Wind Fury, of course.
If he had picked Bossy Horror hoping for the battle cry there, I'm just like, oh,
No.
okay. Good luck with that one.
We had a Hunter deck with the Moss, but of course not here.
But it'd be so good. Yeah, okay, I'm just chilling for time. So as we all know, the Goblin Lackeys coming through are going to make it a very easy win there for Skywalker, and that's going to set us up at 1-1. Finally, no 2-0s, and I think it really shows the true potential of both of those decks. A great choice by Skywalker. They just face off against such an aggressive field. It's really difficult to come back as a more sort of later on stall deck. So obviously keeping the Frost Nova is good here, keeping the Sorcerer is good, but he keeps nothing. What's he looking for, G-Clef? I thought he had a pretty good starting hand. Okay, well clearly obviously looking for, low health or low mana cost spells.
Yeah, maybe some Ray of Frost, which he's got. A Mirror Image or even a Magic Trick would be okay.
That's not bad, but man, I can't help but look at Arknight's hands and say, look, all of this is great, but how do you use that without dying? Skywalker he's got so many aggressive options, but luckily for Arknight, Skywalker's hand is not that great.
Yeah, not like too great of a position to have any like easy small minions to be out on the field. So Arknight might actually have some time to use that Arcane Intellect in turn 3.
Prep Ivis Hero Power. Got it. That's why I'm not in this tournament. There's nothing actually really to do except Hero Power and pass, and I mean this is really good for Arknight. No pressure on the board at all.
Luckily, and might even consider using the coin.
One thing that was pointed out in one of the previous Grandmasters broadcasts last week is that being on the coin or on the play is a huge swing. I think in one of the interviews, I think it was, I forget what his name was. Phenomeno, the guy that's undefeated in Grandmaster. He said that being on the coin for Rogue is so gigantic because you get a free combo. But the same thing goes for the Cyclone Mage because now you get an extra spell from your Cyclone, and if you really desperately need to stem the tide of aggression against you, you can hit that one turn earlier, which really helps you survive the early game.
That's totally correct. That's what you're looking for. Only South Sea Corsair on the board, so you're not really too worried at the moment. Arknights got a good value. Also Polymorph for Edwin, which has not been coming out at all. I think it's a good setup.
Yeah, definitely good to have in your hand. Actually, I don't think his secondary or tertiary decks include polymorphs, so kind of interesting that Arknights has just stuck that in there. It's great for Edwin, like you said.
Yeah, just keeping the primary deck here.
But I really don't see Arknight developing a whole lot towards his, I guess, ultimate dream. He doesn't have Conjurer's Calling. He does have maybe a good Giant setup, but man, Skywalker is going to have some monstrous turns here in a second.
Buy some time, Lunax Galaxy, and then you start from turn 6. I think that's what Arknight's going for. It's still a lot of damage from the board, but that's sort of what you're looking for with the Apprentice. Okay, you have a lot more options now.
Absolutely. I mean, Mountain Giant is a great way to just put a beefy big thing on the board, but probably it dies next turn. And of course, we know from looking at the hands that Sap is a great way to stop that from being a good play. Based on value, I guess Arknight, has the opportunity to just throw down the Giant. It's not like it's the bad play to make, but he's definitely hesitating, thinking through, okay, what are the options that my opponent has? He certainly does have that walk the plank. He's got the opportunity to either sap or tons of things to deal with that Giant. So even though it's such a huge tempo swing, I mean, maybe not the best option.
Yeah, Cyclone, with the Apprentice, you always want to get the value out with the mana. And so you want to get the maximum amount of damage, and Arknight's concerned about his number on his life. Only 21 left, and eventually Skywalker with a few more charging minions available you're really concerned. And with the apprentice, you're basically saying, okay, you got to use a spell on my sorcerer's apprentice, or even the giant, or else I'm gonna take over the board, and soon I'm gonna have my cyclones. That's what Arknight is saying to Skywalker. Let's see the response.
Yeah, immediate sap, that's definitely the no-brainer. And obviously Arknight couldn't know that there was an SI agent, but you're probably assuming there's a way to deal 2 damage. Rogue's just got quite a few of those. So a perfect way to clear the board. You know, it doesn't answer the giant, but I think Arknight's saying, look, if you want to pop this back into my hand, I'll at least be able to play that next turn.
So lost the apprentice, but Arknight, let's see if he will actually have the chance to use that lunar galaxy. Once he just used that,
I think that's a little bit too slow at this point. Like, I mean, you could put that down.
You might just die in the next 2 turns if you just don't get the perfect few cards.
Yeah,
You're looking for a cyclone or another apprentice. At least some pressure. You just do have to use the Ray of Frost. Second one.
Another giant on the board. No more sap. There's a walk the plank in there somewhere. Obviously, that's not the best way to deal with it. Eviscerate, kind of the hard way of taking out the giant. But hey, it's gone, and that means that Arknight, he's got no conjure, he's got no giant, and those are basically the sole meaningful components of his deck. So, good luck. He's got a couple more turns to draw them, but if he doesn't, he's just gonna fizzle out.
Yeah, with Fan of Knives, it is still the secondary deck from Skywalker. And that's literally what you have to have. Walk the plank is the one that you need. And Betrayal. Okay, when there is that Conjurer's Calling, Betrayal would be one card that you actually need from Rogue.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see what he gets off of this Discover a spell. We don't know what his options are, obviously, but discovering Myra's. Okay, I guess that's one way to do it. To your point, I actually really like the Betrayal. It's one that Phenomeno, kind of Archlord of all combo rogues out there, put in his deck. It's so powerful, specifically against this. And okay, here we go. This is it. He's playing the Myra, or not the Myra's, the Luna's Pocket Galaxy. It's really going to help him out on his future turns, but it also means he does basically nothing this turn and puts himself on essentially another 1-turn clock. Or 2, I guess.
Buys one more turn. Oh, Skywalker just going in hot, looking for the next turn.
Okay. There's the Shadow Step. He's going to be able to add more lackeys to his hand. Does he get the damage he needs? No Kobold Lackey.
So no direct damage, but still with that Witchy Lackey, maybe you can look for some charge.
He pushes 4 extra damage and keeps himself out of any sort of crazy lethal range. I mean, 1 mana Stargazer Luna is going to feel pretty good. He's going to be able to draw quite a bit off of this. If he draws into a Cyclone here, that could actually be gigantic. Whoa, look at that! This is that big turn you're looking for.
Tools of creation.
Instant.
That splitting image actually looks pretty good there for a second, but look at this, just 1 mana, 1 mana, 1 mana, and this is going to be such a gigantic turn. Arknight!
All he needs is
The tools of
Mana Cyclone. Still good enough with the Frost Nova.
No, this is exactly what you're looking for. Basically a pitch-perfect turn for Arknights, and now Skywalker, he's sitting there with his twiddling his thumbs. He's got nothing but a frozen board.
And saying, is there a way? You can certainly just use that betrayal now, but can I wait for better turns? Or look for some better transformation with the higher mana cost?
Yeah, I think unquestionably there are better turns out there. Crucially enough, the secondary deck that Skywalker is playing that does include the Walk the Plank does not include the Betrayals, so he had to get that one off of the Ethereal Lackey.
He's also got Fan of Knives, which does pair up with the Thalnos that he has. But it doesn't really help against the Mage too much. Hope it doesn't come out.
Does Skywalker die here? He's on 25 health. I guess there's no way he actually just straight up dies, but he's certainly either going to take a lot of damage or be facing a board that will deal a lot of damage.
Let's see, 10. I don't think that's lethal.
No, but
I can count 22, but that's it.
you're right. It's close, but it's not there, so it doesn't matter. And now finally we get a big Conjurer's Calling turn. What's coming out? Oh no!
The tools
Oh,
of
another
creation.
Frost Nova to buy one more turn. That's good enough. As long as you have bigger minions to keep going
Yeah.
directly to face,
The
the
tools
Skywalker
of
in the big
creation.
trouble. And here comes Mana Cyclone.
All right, man, this is just the perfect Cyclone Mage deck. Just every single turn giving you exactly what you want. Obviously, it
Shooting
sucks.
Star!
It sucks to burn that, but look at what Shooting Star is going to do. It sets this up
Behold the
absolutely
tools of
perfectly to just keep
creation.
on drawing cards.
Arknight's hand is full. Then already bunt, I believe, one Mountain Giant. Spellbender, nice.
I'm surprised he did that because it's going to burn an extra card.
Yeah, but he was really looking for that spell. The Cat Guard does mean a little bit when Arknight already used the mirror image anyhow, so I don't think it matters as much.
Right, he's already
next
got
turn-
enough damage on the board.
Next turn could be lethal.
Drawing the rest of his deck. He draws Myris with Myris. Nice. But he does get a sap, which is gigantic.
Yeah, even with the sap, it doesn't really cut it with the fireballs in Arknight's hand.
All right, he's got to know that too. He would have to deal with the entire board, not just taking 9 damage off of it. Well, good luck. Hey, at least he can draw a card to get the Corrupted Blood so he doesn't get fatigue, right? Definitely not what he wants.
Eviscerate, but nothing else.
No, this is...
I think Arknight's, this is dead end.
He's pretty dead. Yep, we know it, but obviously Arknight just has to play through the motions, try desperately to mitigate the amount of damage on the board, but he can't get rid of the world's mega-est imp. This is like Season 4 Tyrion Lannister. The imp is as big as ever. And here come the fireballs straight to the dome! Skywalker kind of did know that they were there, so I guess we were all on the same page. Whoop! Corrupted Blood, the BM. I love to see it. Arknight must feel pretty good about that win. Coming back with a 2-1 victory.
Cyclone Mage!
Hey, we got to see it work.
Is the one.